you want to give us a little background on who is Trevor Boudreau?
Well, sure. I'm Trevor Boudreau, and I'm the Progressive Conservative candidate for Richmond in the next provincial election. And so I was acclaimed back in August of 2020, and so I've been kind of reaching out to people and meeting people in the community since that time. But certainly, I've been in the community for a little while now. I'm born and raised in Louisdale.
Yes.
Grew up in Richmond County. Moved away for university like a lot of young people do. Did 8 years of schooling. I did my undergrad in Halifax and did chiropractic college in Toronto for 4 years, and then moved home and started a business in Port Hawkesbury, and have been there since.
Perfect. So so you've raised your family here, correct?
That's right. So
yes.
My wife and I moved home without kids. My wife found a job right away. I started my business, and then we started a family a year later. And so we have 2 children, son and Luke, who's now 9, or no, Luke's 11, and Kate's 9.
Nice.
And so we've got that $1 million family, right?
That's
the little boy and the little girl.
The boy and the girl, you're ready to go.
Yeah.
So this isn't your first kick at politics. You were a councillor once upon a time in the Port Hawkesbury area. So you've obviously have that need in you to give back to the community.
Yeah, no, I and wherever I've gone, even when I was in university, where I've gone, I've always wanted to be involved. That's been a big part of being part of a community, and being involved in a community is very important. And so, a couple of years after I got here, and I'll backtrack a little bit. When I first moved here to Port Hawkesbury, into the area, I kind of wanted to get involved and was asked if I was interested in joining the Rotary Club in Port Hawkesbury.
Yes.
So I was a member of the Rotary Club for a number of years.
Yeah.
Then was asked to be part of the Chamber of Commerce. So I was a Chamber of Commerce board member, and then vice president for the Chamber for a couple of years as well. And then after that, I started going to some council meetings in Port Hawkesbury, just getting a sense of what was going on in the community, and felt I had something to offer and contribute, and put my name forward 8 years ago. Ran in an election at that time, was elected, and re-offered. I was the only councillor who re-offered. So Brenda was a councillor with me as well, but she was acclaimed as mayor. I was the only incumbent running, and was re-elected for a second term.
So what made you think at this time in your life that you wanted to run it provincially?
So it's I mean, there's always a story behind anything, and certainly when I got elected 8 years ago, I was actually approached to run at that time provincially, and I had just got elected and felt it was important for me to follow through on my commitment to the community. So I wanted to commit to that 4 years, and considered it again for the last election, but I felt the timing wasn't right for me. And then about 3 years into my last term, I was approached again, and Tim Houston, the leader of the party, and I sat down and had a really good chat about his beliefs and where he's at and where he wants the party to head. And it really jived well with my belief system and where I feel the province and our community and our region needs to be heading. And so our synergies worked. I did my due diligence. I went to the AGM last January prior to COVID, and got to meet some more people in the party, have some really good discussions, both on policy and platform, but also just making sure you're comfortable with the people you're going to be potentially working with, and had a really good feeling coming out of it. And so, it also had to be important that my wife and family were committed to this too. This is, anybody who will tell you, even municipally or provincially, it's not just one person running. Your family is involved and have to be committed to it too. It's a big commitment for my wife to take if I'm going to be traveling or maneuvering around the province representing Richmond. She's she's going to have to help out, or carry the load at home.
Yeah, well, certainly, because there will be times. I mean, I know right now we're in COVID, and a lot of things they're doing virtually, but hopefully there will come a point where absolutely you will have to be out of your home, and of course.
And I mean, when you're a municipal councillor, you're on committees, you're on different organizations, and there are events and stuff outside of your jurisdiction, but generally speaking, you're there most of the time. I'm involved in other organizations as well, and I'm sure we'll talk a little bit about that. But when you are, you do have some travel and some commitment. You know, I joke often, you know, when I was in council and on committees, my kids would be playing, instead of playing house at home, they were playing meetings at home, and so so that was always entertaining. And my daughter was one of the people in the gallery. Quite often at council meetings, she'd bring her lunch, and it was her and most of the media that were hanging out at our council meetings. And so
there
it was
you go.
good.
So
Yeah.
she fit right in.
Oh,
so
absolutely.
she'll be happy to join you. When
Oh
you
no,
go.
she, you know, we had the chat about what it would mean, and it would be
Yes.
different than a municipal position, but certainly.
Yeah.
With that being said, it's it's something that they recognize, I think, is important, and they do too.
Right. Well, obviously, you were raised in a family that helping the community was obviously inbred in you. I mean, if that's something that, you know, you've done and you've passed it on to your children, so it's certainly, definitely a factor in when people are thinking about who are they voting for and what type of person, and they will automatically, they will look at your family as well, and you know, your parents, your, you know.
Yeah, no, I remember being
background.
a kid and being at the Richmond Arena when the Lions Club in Louisdale would put on their extravaganza and helping up setting tables and starting like my dad was involved.
Right.
I got involved. You know, when I was young, we got involved with the youth group in Louisdale, and you know, you'd do food drives and you'd do bottle drives to raise money to go to events, and when we came back here, we were starting a family, and just as I was getting on council, there was a group that wanted to get together to build a community park and the playground, and I got very involved with that, and our kids to this day, when they drive by that park, they're saying, you know, we helped with that, Dad. Like, we were there that day that it was built, and you know, we put a lot of time and effort into that, but it was a great community building project, right? It was something that builds capacity, and if you can teach your kids to be great citizens, and they're going to be good, you know, and I believe my kids are learning that from their mother and from our family, and if you can make good citizens that are going to do that later on, it carries those traditions.
Yeah, no, it's not everyone or every family that's going to be the person carrying the flag for everyone else, but certainly there has to be someone out there and willing, and
you hope you can inspire, right? Like, you hope you can inspire young people, you know, and having those conversations with young people in Port Hawkesbury in particular. You know, I was a minor hockey coach and had a ball doing it, but you know, there are kids that I coached 8 years ago, 9 years ago, that still come up to me and say, "Hey, coach," and I haven't coached them in 8 or 9 years, but that impacted them,
they
and
remember.
so hopefully, you know, when they grow up, they're going to say, you know, I want to volunteer and help out in my community as well.
Exactly. Well, and we know, everyone knows, our Richmond County is certainly a very senior population. So in order to get those kids to stay even, I mean, I know there isn't a whole lot we can do for that, but certainly we're hoping that the province, eventually we will be able to get more jobs, more industry, more something within Richmond County or within reason, so that we can keep some of those kids, some of those people staying. And it's not everyone that can stay in Richmond County,
absolutely.
Unfortunately, even though we
know,
think
but
it's great.
Oh, listen, there are a lot of people like me who had to go away.
Yes.
Right? We had to go away to get schooling or to get an education or training. And we learned different skills. And it's not just the skills we learned at university, but you learn about how the world works in other places, and you can bring some of that home and bring some of that exposure and that experience. And certainly, you know, the conversations I've had with family members who've had to go away, and they would love to be back here. And so I think you need, you know, a province and a government and people on that recognize that, especially in the rural communities, right? So, you know, oftentimes rural communities in Nova Scotia and across Canada get the short end of the stick.
Yes.
And you know, whether it's with healthcare or with education or recreation facilities or whatever you want to talk about, that's often the case. And so recognizing that is one thing, but also being a champion to move that bar over so that we're all represented the right way. And have a shot to grow our economy, to grow our population, to support our young families, and to support our seniors, right? They were like, you know, the people who were working in the Lions Club when I was a kid, a lot of them are still in the Lions Club.
Yes.
And I'll tell you, they're working just as hard as they were then.
Yes.
And they're the
and
community
maybe more
builders.
so.
Absolutely.
Maybe more so.
They're the community
Because
builders.
absolutely. The seniors within Richmond County are holding up Richmond County.
Oh.
Because there's more of them than anybody else.
Yeah.
And we have some of the best volunteer groups going. And we need to hopefully, we need to maintain that. We need to find a way to help that out. So.
And that's something I want. One of my goals is actually to get out to the organizations in the community and say, okay, like, what is going to make you thrive? What, not just survive? Like, what are the issues that you're having as a community? Yeah. Where do you see yourself in 4 to 5 years if you've had the resources or the ability to do what you need to do? And let's figure out a way. Because that's what builds the backbone of your community, right? We can talk about economic development and all of that, and that's very, very important. Yes. And big business is great, small business is what we need. Yep. But really, when you have community-minded people being active in the community and growing it, it makes a difference.
No, certainly, and I'm happy to hear you say you want to speak with a lot of the different groups and such out in the community, because you're right. I mean, those are the guys and the women out there that they're in the community. They know what's happening. They know because they're speaking to other people who may not want to volunteer, but maybe they're using the services of a volunteer group. Those are the people that they're on the ground. Yeah. They see things that maybe we miss because we just don't see it. It's not part of our day-to-day activities, but it's good to know that.
But I also want my leader, so Tim Houston, I want him to recognize it. So Tim came down in August, soon after I got acclaimed. Okay. And we toured around a little bit in Richmond County, and actually we got to speak with Adam on the marina in St. Peter's. And part of what I want Tim to see and experience when he comes here is to understand the organizations and what makes our communities tick, and meet some of the business owners and understand how their businesses are surviving or thriving, so that when I have a conversation with him, if we're in power, it'll be, remember when we had that conversation about the expansion at the marina in St. Peter's? Yes. Remember that and how important that is to our community? Well, let's really dive into this and make sure that we can support these endeavors, right? So it's about learning. So you have to be able to take all the information you can and be able to bring that to the people with decision-making powers. Really, that's what it comes down to.
Absolutely.
And if you can be that voice and voice of reason to make sure rural areas are getting their fair share, and that they're also recognizing what are the things that make our communities grow, then we're doing our job.
Right. So it sounds like you have a handle on what it is you want to do. So
I mean, I don't go into anything without a plan.
Right. That's good.
And so, my ability, I feel I have the ability to do this job. I love what I do. I'm a chiropractor. I love helping people. Part of my job is listening to someone, understand their issues, get the information, doing exam, figure out what it is, and then help them with their problem. It's the same, if you use those same steps to municipal government or provincial government, it's about understanding the issues, getting all the information around it, and then helping decisions that really impact people's lives.
Yeah. No, I think you're right.
Yeah.
I think that'll be good. I'm looking forward to moving on and seeing what's to come.
Oh, listen.
I think,
this is exciting. I mean, for me, I'm having a lot of fun already. I think the process can be daunting. I think an election campaign can be daunting for people. There's a lot of hours. There's a lot of people helping me out right now. It's been really exciting to engage with people. And they're all putting a lot of time and effort into this, and I really appreciate that. Yeah. But it's worth it, and it's a lot of fun. And my team is having a lot of fun. I'm having a lot of fun. My wife is still having a lot of fun. And so I think it's about trying to move forward in a positive way and looking forward, not necessarily always backwards. We learn from history, absolutely, but it's about where do we want to be and what do we want to be, not about where we were, right? I can't change what's happened in the past, but let's look forward.
No, absolutely. So I think we're all looking forward on what's to come next. Where is Nova Scotia going, and where hopefully Richmond County can play an important
We're important.
Role in there.
We're vital to the success of the province. We're like a lot of the other small counties and communities, and we are important.
Yes, well, that's good. I'm glad to hear you say
that.
So
that's the truth.
Excellent. So it's been great talking with you. So hopefully It was a nice little introduction, and we're glad to meet you, and hopefully we get to introduce you to some people who may not know who Trevor Boudreau is. So
Well, that's I really do appreciate the
Yeah.
time because that's important to me. I want people
Yeah.
to understand I'm approachable.
Yes.
I'm easy to get along with. I may be 6'2" tall, but I'm not trying to be intimidating. I want people to understand I'm there for them, and
Yes.
if I can influence them voting for me, that's great. But if they don't, they're still
Yeah,
people
well,
that are
yeah.
important to me, and I want to. And I value everybody's input. That's what
That's good. Yeah.
allows me to do the job that I want to do.
That's right. Yeah, and for now, I mean, yes, we know you're running for the Conservatives, but elected, not elected, you're running for the county.
Yeah, no, and
You'll be there for the county, and whomever takes that job, we know, and just from listening to you,
I've been involved since
yeah.
I got here, and I'm going to continue while I'm here.
Yes.
I hope it's in that form as MLA. But I want the people to know that I'm here.
Right.
I'm here to stay. This isn't like I've not been here. I've been here for 12 years now, engaged in my community, and I will continue to be.
Great. Good to know.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.